All right, everybody. Today we have Frankie Fihn on the show. Frankie is a thought leader. He is an expert in the world of digital marketing. And now get this, the shamanic, psychedelic mindset behind what's going on in the digital world, the propaganda factories, how they're working. Now, this guy has been in my life for about the last 15 years. He has taught me as much, if not more, than some of the core top people in my life. It's an honor to have him on the show. Frankie Fihn, welcome to the Blue Morpho podcast.
Dude, that's a hell of an intro. Appreciate that. I feel like the feeling is mutual. If I list the people who've taught me more than anything, like Hamilton Souther is if not number one on that list, very, very high on that list.
Oh, well, Frankie, I appreciate that as well. One of the core things I think that we both realized in this life as we got to know each other is the importance of mentors. And it's a real pleasure to have kind of that co-mentor role with some people. Doesn't always happen, but when it does and there's synergy, that's always a beautiful thing. So just wanted to send my gratitude and thanks to you for being in that co-mentor role with me over the years.
Yeah, or likewise. It's been a wild journey getting to know you. There's definitely like a pre-Hamilton life and a post-Hamilton life, and those look very, very, very different. A lot of different colors and flavors to that.
All right. Well, as we're going to get into this, I want to ask that. What is walk me through the pre-Hamilton life and then how you actually came about finding me and then some of the post-Hamilton life. Just take us through that trajectory quickly, just to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you know the story well because you were on the other end of the receiving it, but it's one of those stories that if it hadn't happened to me, it's almost so crazy that I wouldn't have believed it. I mean, I want to say 2007, the economy was just like going in the tanks, and I was kind of forced into something I'd always wanted to do, but like in my own way resisted, like going into business for myself, working online, that kind of thing. And I remember being like riddled with anxiety and worry about the future. And I had all this money stress. And I was, daily, like sometimes when I would actually try and envision a better future, it would like actually induce panic attacks inside me, just the act of trying to focus my mind. And this whole thing was going on, I magically heard about this substance called ayahuasca, and it became like an obsession for me when I first heard about it. Googling it every day. And it was a really interesting experience for me because both my parents were alcoholics and my dad was like a really hardcore drug addict. So like just in my eyes, all drugs were bad and we would just avoid those. And here I am going, this crazy psychedelic sounds a little bit different than everything else. And so as you know, which I don't recommend for anybody listening to this, but I was dumb enough to try it on my own. I did it 6 times over 2 years. And it was really the third experience that like kind of started the journey towards Hamilton Souther. The first time I took it was just like a small amount. Nothing really happened. The second time got a little bigger. But the third time, I remember I had read all these stories, a lot of them actually secondhand experiences of you. I just didn't know it at the time. But I listened to people have these crazy life-altering healing stories and cancer cured and blindness had their vision restored and just all these kind of things. And here I was like taking this ayahuasca and I was tripping my face off, but it wasn't like very mystical or profound. Like it was colorful and mind altering, but I wasn't like, like, oh my God, I feel healed by the cosmos or anything. And I remember right as that happened, I said to myself in my own mind, I said, like, where's my mystical healing experience? And my right arm went up and it like, the best I could describe it is it physically took over my body. And then my arm lunged down and grabbed this Kleenex box off the ground. And it was such a strange experience because it was so robotic that I used my other hand to push that away. And I was like, okay, whatever that was, like, no mas, no, let's not do that again. And of course, 2 minutes later, I asked the same question. Where's my healing experience? Arm goes up, lunges down, grabs this Kleenex box. So it happened about 5 times. And what ended the Kleenex box said on it, it said, of the words dreams and inspirations. And it had like a university fractal galaxy kind of thing. And as I was looking at it, like the words started to float out of the Kleenex box and kind of landed at me. And I kind of embodied their meaning. Like I became like very inspired in that moment. And it was just a little insignificant thing at that exact moment, but there's a little blue butterfly in the top left of this Kleenex box. And so what was really interesting about it is the next day I started seeing blue butterfly synchronicities like 15, 20 times a day. And also I started seeing like numbers that were like, I can remember like I turn on the hockey game and the score would be 1-1 in the first period with 11-11 to go. So it would just be 1-1-1-1. And that happened like 6-7 times where the exact moment I turned it on was all ones. And clocks would be like that. And I remember like some of them were just really out there. Like I can remember asking my girlfriend Trish at the time, hey, can you grab a vegetable tray? We're at the grocery store. We took it home and the tray was a blue butterfly. And like in each wing, they got like cucumbers and tomatoes. Or somebody said, oh, if you're getting into psychedelics, you should listen to this Terrence McKenna guy. I wasn't really that interested in listening to him, but all right. Begrudgingly, I searched for a video. He's giving a lecture wearing a blue butterfly t-shirt. And it just like, it followed me everywhere. The most interesting one for me was like closest to what post Hamilton life looked like, because I was playing this video game called The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and in the game there's these meadows with blue butterflies floating in a circle, and I just kept thinking, here we go with more blue butterflies, this unanswered question of what does this all even mean. And in the game, the video game character gets knocked out, the princess goes missing, and you wake up. And in the game, there's a spirit right over your head. And it says, like, I can't explain, but you need to go with me. And you follow this spirit. And then I ended up in this temple, and it taught me this like healing song in the game. And then it said, go play it where the blue butterflies gather. And what would happen is either it would heal your character, like the game would restore your health and vitality and all that, or it would give you some old wisdom that like would enable you to get further into the journey than you could without it. Or they would be gateway points where you would leave your physical body, go collect items and things that you could then use in the real world. And that's the closest thing that happened to me, because I remember the 6th time I took it on my own, which again, I don't recommend without somebody like you who's a professional. But I had a vision of a giant blue butterfly made of millions of tiny blue butterflies. And I remember when I started sobering up, after 2 years of seeing this 20 times a day for 2 years, I just decided to Google blue butterfly ayahuasca. Like that was the only thing my nerd brain could figure out. And there, of course, is Hamilton South or Blue Morpho retreat. So I took it as a sign like I was to come visit you. And about like, I don't know, a couple weeks later, I was going through a crisis of like, I wanted to use my marketing skills to sell something meaningful. And I remember reaching out to you and just saying like, I have some ideas for you. I'd love to come down. And I don't even remember how that whole thing went, but I just remember nobody told me, but you had actually had a ceremony and said, we're working on this music stuff. Spirits, bring me a marketing person. And so there was this kind of like showing up at the time, you know, like very Harry Potter, like when you need the room shows up kind of thing. And post Hamilton life has been a very different story, full of, you know, spirits and a lot more mystical kind of experiences and wild out there journeys and less linear life. But I'm happy to say on the business front, the reasons I came to you were like that whole anxiety. I think you fixed that thing in about 40 minutes from the time I met you, and I've never had it since, but it was, you know,